Hello everyone. In the last session we have started with abstract class. Today we will see abstract class with multiple abstract methods, abstract class with constructor. So whenever we create subclass for abstract class, we should implement all the abstract methods in the subclass. Then only we can create object for subclass and access those methods. We know that for abstract class we cannot create the object. So we have to implement all the abstract methods which we have declared in abstract class in the subclass which we create. And we have to implement all those methods in that subclass. Then only we can create object for that subclass. If you don't implement any one of the method from the abstract class, then that subclass will not be able to create the object. So for that subclass we will not be able to create the object if all the methods are not implemented in the subclass. If all methods are not implemented in subclass, then it will be also considered as an abstract class and we cannot instantiate it. Now let's see one example. So I am going to PyCharm. Let's create a new Python file. So I am creating a new Python file. So we have created a new Python file. Now in this Python file what I will do, so we have to create one abstract class. So first we will just import abstract base class from ABC module along with abstract method. After that let's create one class. So I am just creating, let's say, class X, which is extended from abstract base class. Now in this class we will create two abstract methods. So earlier we have seen the example where we have created only one abstract method in abstract class. So now we will create two abstract methods. So how to create an abstract method? So first we will use decorator, that is @abstract method decorator. After that we will define that abstract method. So we will create def, let's say, method 1. So I have created method 1, and in the abstract method we don't have any implementation, so I will just mention pass. We will create another abstract method, that is method 2 as well. So let's create another abstract method, that is method 2. So now we have created two abstract methods which are present in the class X. Now what we will do, to implement these methods we have to create a subclass, right? So we have to create subclass. So I will just create class Y, which is the child or which is the subclass of class X. So class X is our abstract class. Now in this class, which is a subclass of class X, right? So class Y is a subclass of class X. So in this class we have to implement these two methods, but what I will do, I will implement only one method. Now let's try to implement only one method. So I will just create one method, let's say def method 1. So I am just implementing only one method, and in this method I will just simply print so we have added implementation which will print we are inside method 1, right? So we have implemented only one method. If you see the abstract class, it contains two abstract methods, but in subclass, that is class Y, we have implemented only one method. Now let's try if we can create object for this class Y. So can we create object for this class Y? Let's try to do that. So what we will do, we will simply create my obj for class Y. So for class Y we are trying to create the object, and let's try to access methods of class Y by using that object. So let's try to access method 1 and let's see what happens. So I'm just executing this file. It is throwing the error. What it is saying, can't instantiate abstract class Y with abstract method 2. So it is still treating our class Y, which is a subclass of class X. It is saying that class Y is an abstract class. Why it is still an abstract class? Because in Python whenever we create a subclass, we should implement all the abstract methods from the abstract class. So we have created the subclass, but we have implemented only method 1. Method 2 is still not implemented. That's why it is treating class Y as an abstract class. So remember that we have to implement all the abstract method in the subclass. Then only we can create object and access the methods. Otherwise, that class also treated as an abstract class. So now I am just removing this part of code. So now what I will do, I will again create another class subclass. So let's create another subclass, class Z, which is extended by class Y, which is the subclass. So now class Z is a subclass of class Y. So whatever is present in class Y will be inherited to class Z. So in the class Y we have already implemented method 1, and that will be inherited to class Z, because class Z is a child of class Y and class Y is a child of abstract class X. So now what we will do, the remaining method, that is method 2. So method 1 is already implemented in class Y. So now we will implement method 2 in class Z. So let's implement def method 2, which will print, so this method will print we are inside method 2. So it should print we are inside method 2, right? So now in the class Z we have implemented method 2 as well. So can we create the object now? Are all the abstract methods are implemented in class Z? Answer is yes, because we have implemented method 2 inside class Z, and class Z is a child of class Y, and method 1 is already implemented in class Y. So obviously class Z will have both these methods. So by the object of, if we create the object of class Z, we should be able to access method 2 as well as method 1 also, because method 1 is already implemented in class Y and class Z is a subclass of class Y. So all these methods present in class Y are inherited to class Z. So now let's try to create and access method from class Z, right? So I'm just creating object of class Z. So how to create object for class Z? So let's create my obj equals to class Z. So we have created my obj, which is object of class Z, and now by using my obj object we can access method 1 as well as we can access method 2 as well. My obj dot method 2. So now let's execute this file. We should be able to get both the output, that is we are inside method 1 and we are inside method 2. So whenever we are calling this method 1, it is checking whether class Z contains method 1. No, but class Z is inherited from class Y. So class Y contains method 1 which is implemented. So answer is yes. So method 1 will be executed. Now it will check my obj dot method 2. So method 2, is it implemented in class Z? Yes. So it is already implemented. So it will print we are inside method 2. So this is how we can call, or we can use. Just we have to remember that whenever we are creating the abstract class and multiple abstract methods, in the subclass we have to implement all those methods. Otherwise it will not be treated, or we cannot create the object for that subclass. So in the class Y we have implemented only one method. We have implemented only single method. Another method is remaining. So that's why class Y object we cannot create. So we cannot create class Y object because only one method is implemented. We can create the object for class Z because all these methods are implemented now. In the class Z we have implemented the method 2, and class Z is subclass of class Y in which method 1 is also implemented. So we can create the object for class Z and we can access the method 1 and method 2. So we have to remember that whenever we create subclass for abstract class, we should implement all abstract methods in subclass. Then only we can create object of the subclass and access those methods. If all the methods are not implemented in subclass, then it will be also considered as an abstract class and we cannot instantiate it. So in this example, class Y implemented only one method. That's why we cannot create the object of class Y. Method 2 is not implemented in class Y. When we created the child, or when we created the subclass of class Y, in which we have implemented method 2. So now all these methods are implemented. All the abstract methods got implemented. And then we can create the object of class Z, and we can access method 1 and method 2. right? So we have to remember this point. So this is the one example of multiple abstract methods implemented in multiple child classes, right? So we have implemented one abstract method in another child class, and we have created another subclass of that subclass, and we have implemented method 2 in that subclass. So you have to remember that whenever we create subclass for abstract class, we should implement all abstract methods in the subclass. Then only we can create object of subclass and access those methods. If all methods are not implemented in subclass, then it will also be considered as abstract class and we cannot instantiate it. So this is the one example. Now we will see one more example with the constructor. So we will see how to use constructor in an abstract class. So let's I am creating a new file now. Abstract class with constructor. So we have created a Python file. So again, first we have to import from ABC, import ABC as well as abstract method. Then let's create one class. So I am creating one class, let's say class calc, which will extended by ABC abstract base class. In this class now we will create one constructor. So how to create a constructor? def underscore underscore init. So we have created one constructor, and this constructor will accept two values, let's say num1 and num2. Now this num1 and num2 are local to this constructor, and we have to make them as a global class variables, right? So we have to access from anywhere, we have to make them as a class variable, right? So how to make the class variable? So currently these are local to constructor only, right? So these are local to only constructor, and we have to make them accessible from anywhere. So how we can do that? So we have to make them as a class variable. So we can use self dot num1 equals to num1. So we are making now num1 and num2 to class variable. Self dot num2 equals to num2. So we have assigned those values to self dot num1 and num2. So now they are class variable and accessible from anywhere. Now what we will do? We have created the constructor, right, which accepts two parameters. Now we will create three abstract methods inside this class. So I will just use @abstract method decorator, and after that we will just create one method, that is, let's say def add, which will perform addition operation. It is an abstract method, right? So it is an abstract method, so it will not contain any implementation. So we will just mention as a pass. We will create one more abstract method. I'm just copying it. Subtraction. Let's create one more abstract method for multiplication. So we have created three abstract methods. Now we will create another class, that is the subclass of this class. We will create one subclass. So how to create the subclass? So I am just creating class, let's say X, which will extend the class calc. In this class we have to implement the methods, right? So we have to implement these three methods which we have defined as an abstract method. So first I will just define add, which will perform print self dot num1, which will perform addition of num1 and num2, self dot number 2. Right, so we are seeing some error here. So what is this error about? So we have not added the indentation. So after creating this method we have to press 1 2 3 4. So we have to add indentation. So now we have created one add method which will perform addition on number 1 and number 2. We will implement another method, that is, let's say subtraction method. So we have to implement all those methods. So I will just create, let's say, sub method in which we will perform subtraction. Then we will create one more method we have to implement, that is multiplication, which will perform multiplication, right? So multiplication. So here we will add multiplication. So we have created, so in the class calculator, in the class calc, which is extended class ABC, which is the abstract class, we have created one constructor. Constructor will accept two values, that is num1 and num2, which are local to this constructor, so that we have to first make as them accessible from anywhere. So we have to assign those num1 to self.num1, num2 equal to self.num2. So now they are accessible from anywhere. After that, we have created three abstract methods, right? So we have created add, subtraction and multiplication method, which are abstract methods, and we have implemented those abstract method in class X, right? So which is extended from calc class, and we have implemented all these three methods here. So now let's create the object for class X, right? So let's create the object for class X. So let's say my obj X equals to class X. So what happens now is it will invoke, so whenever we create the object, it will invoke the constructor of class X. So class X is a child of class calc, right? So class X is a child of class calc. So it will invoke the constructor from class. So it will check class X is having constructor, no, but class X is a child of class calc, and class C is having constructor. So calc class is having constructor. So we have to pass two values, that is num1 and num2, right? So it accept two values, num1 and num2. So we can pass two values here, let's say 20, 10. So we are passing two values, num1 and num2. So num1 will be assigned here, num2 will be assigned here. So it will be class variables now. It will be accessible from anywhere. Now after invoking this object, let's try to call the method. So my objx dot add method we can call. Then we can call my obj dot subtraction method. My obj x, not my obj. Yeah. So after that we can call subtract method, and we can also call my obj x dot mul method, multiplication method. So now let's execute this file. So it is printing the output, right? So it is perform addition, that is 20 plus 30, 20 plus 10, that is 30, 20 minus 10, that is 10, and 20 into 10, that is 200. So it is invoking these methods. So when we create or when we instantiate the object, so my obj x, here we are instantiating the object for class X. So class X is a child of class calc, and class calc is having constructor in which we are passing two values, num1 and num2. And after that, what we are doing, we are calling method addition method, which is the class X method. So it will invoke here, it will invoke the add method, and it will perform self.num1 plus self.num2. That will it will perform addition of two numbers. Similarly, it will perform subtraction and multiplication, and it is giving the output. So this is the simple example of using constructor in abstract classes. So thank you for watching this video, guys.